State Senator Analise Ortiz posted this on her Instagram page, alerting her followers that immigration agents were gathering near an elementary school.
This is Arizona State Senator Analise Ortiz. Now, she's being accused of leaking Homeland Security operations and obstructing Homeland Security operations through her Instagram.
This certainly looks like obstruction of justice.
Now, Homeland Security is calling this obstruction of justice, but the state senator is not backing down. In fact, she even said, "I'm not effing scared of you, nor Trump's masked goons." So, of course, we are going to look into all of this, and then I will let you guys decide how you feel about it. Now, before we start the video, make sure to please like the video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, but it also helps others see the videos as well, and I think people need to be informed with stories like this.
How this all started. State Senator Analise Ortiz posted this on her Instagram page, alerting her followers that immigration agents were gathering near an elementary school. Then Republican State Senator Warren Peterson claimed that broke the law and referred her case for a criminal investigation. Ortiz says she was simply exercising free speech.
Now, this is the post from the state official, and she is quite literally telling everyone this is the exact location and time of where ICE has been located. She also has doubled down on the internet and said, "I will not be intimidated. I will alert our community to avoid the area when Trump's masked thugs terrorize us all, regardless of citizenship." So again, she's not denying what the intentions are here to make sure people avoid the area when Homeland Security is in the area. Real quick, if you haven't already, make sure to please subscribe to my channel so I can keep you up to date with this story. Once again, another elected official is on the radar of the Trump administration, and they are not messing around anymore.
Peterson, who has his eyes set on becoming the state's next attorney general, has now asked for a federal investigation of Ortiz. Now, he claims that Ortiz alerting the public to the location of federal agents may be in violation of federal law. When I spoke with him today, he mentioned that it could be considered evading police. Right now, there is a federal law prohibiting the release of identifying information of federal officers with intent to intimidate or interfere. But
that is very crucial. Intimidation. We are all protected by free speech, but the intent behind the free speech is when you start to cross that line of you could be breaking some laws. And the state senator is saying, I'm protected by free speech, while others are saying, hold on, there seems to be some intent behind that free speech.
He says people regularly post in Facebook groups or on Nextdoor, alerting neighbors to speed traps or police activity, and she says this is no different than that.
Now, first things first, globally speaking, the Waze app has actually faced a lot of criticism for alerting that police are in the area. But this state senator is comparing a speed trap notification to a Homeland Security operation notification. I think you can see the difference already. One notification helps you slow down to not get a speeding ticket. The other one might help you avoid a federal investigation to not get kicked out of the country. But the bad news for the state senator is how specific her post was. She gave the time, the location, the date, and if Homeland Security can prove that because of this, the operation was a failure, that could be a massive problem for the state senator.
Police activity, and she says this is no different than that.
People can use their First Amendment. Where you cross a line is the law is you can't help somebody evade law enforcement.
This is publicly available information, and my speech is protected by the First Amendment. These are clearly intimidation tactics, and I am not going to let them scare me.
Okay, so this is such a common argument. This is all public information. We can see the Homeland Security officers in public, so it's public information. There's somebody else I cover on my channel who used this exact same argument, the mayor of Nashville, Tennessee.
Mayor O'Connell shut down. It all started with questions about the mayor's office releasing the names of federal immigration officers.
Do you believe that posting the names of federal immigration officers endangers them?
Well, this was really an issue where they were already part of a public record. I don't think it puts them at additional risk.
So if it doesn't put them at additional risk, why did your office decide to remove the names?
It wasn't an intentional process.
Almost verbatim argument. This is all public information, but there is a big difference. The mayor of Nashville, Tennessee, is currently under federal investigation for obstructing Homeland Security agents. So he's been subpoenaed. They're looking into his lines of communication. What exactly is the intent behind his actions? Now, there's a reason why I said giving away the specifics here could be a very big problem for the state senator. You see, over in Nashville, the mayor gave away the specifics of the agents. Besides leaking the actual names of the Homeland Security agents, we're also talking about the time and locations where they were operating in the Nashville area. This is what the state senator is doing as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if once again we have another investigation into these actions.
Attorney General Chris Mays backing up Ortiz, saying that what she did is protected by the First Amendment. Meanwhile, Peterson is saying Ortiz is lucky that the legislature is not currently in session, or she would face scrutiny from her own colleagues. He says he referred this incident to the U.S. Attorney for the District of Arizona to investigate.
And again, as I make this video, there's been no confirmation of an investigation, but at the very least, we know that the Attorney General is backing this state senator and saying, hey, this is free speech. In fact, the Arizona Attorney General is doubling down on backing up the Arizona senator. Check this post out. Warren Peterson is using his position as Senate president to threaten and intimidate Senator Analise Ortiz for exercising her First Amendment rights. That's not leadership, it's bullying. I know he's only been a lawyer for a year and a half, but he needs a CLE and the Bill of Rights. Now, I don't want to make this into a drama channel, but this is what the senator is also saying. Bring it on, Jake. ICE alerts keep people away from the area since these lawless thugs are gleefully disappearing people, including U.S. citizens and lawful residents. You try to spin a false narrative, but the people know the real threat to our safety is Trump. And like we talked about at the beginning of the video, another post from the senator, yep, when ICE is around, I will alert my community to stay out of the area. I am not effing scared of you nor Trump's masked goons. Now, what's interesting here, I don't care about the cursing, I don't care if she dislikes Trump, but she is pointing out, I will alert my community to stay out of the area. So this is intent behind what she posted.
I'm absolutely worried about my safety. I'm getting death threats.
State Senator Analise Ortiz posts on social media about immigration enforcement activity. Now the Senate president is asking the U.S. Justice Department to investigate her, saying in a statement, quote, "Public servants have a duty to uphold the law and respect those who enforce it, not undermine them."
I have received death threats, calls for my arrest, calls for my deportation, even though I am a United States citizen born and raised in Arizona.
Senator Ortiz is standing firm, telling me her posts are protected speech.
I am not intimidated by this because what I did was simply alert my community to stay away from an area where ICE could be.
Okay, so this to me seems pretty crucial. Again, she is literally admitting the intent behind the post is to alert people in the area where ICE might be. Now, I also want to add this. When you look at her post, it sort of implies this is exactly where they are. I mean, there's a specific timestamp and a specific area, as in the actual street address. So she's saying where they might be, but when you look at the post, you could read it as in this is where they exactly are.
To keep themselves safe.
First Amendment experts I talked with agree.
Senator Ortiz is right. She has a First Amendment right to talk about, to share publicly available, publicly viewable information.
Alex Morey is at the Freedom Forum, a nonpartisan nonprofit focused on First Amendment education.
It's very much protected by the First Amendment.
Okay, so we have to stop here real quick. This is what the big problem is. Homeland Security is not arguing about freedom of speech. They're arguing about the intent. They are well aware that everybody has this ability to freedom of speech. It's awesome. But as many of you are aware, the intent behind the speech is what causes the crime. This is why the mayor of Nashville, Tennessee is being investigated. It's the intent behind his actions. If you guys are unaware, a day after this really big operation that occurred in central Tennessee, where Homeland Security, they busted a lot of illegal immigrants, he came out a day later and said he was very upset about this. That is completely fine. That is protected by freedom of speech. But then these policies started to come out, and then a fundraiser or this fund came out where they're starting to support migrants in the area. Now, all of this happened a day after this big operation, but now they're looking into the intent. Are you trying to obstruct? Are you trying to prevent? It's the intent behind things, not the freedom of speech that the Trump administration has a problem with.
And as far as what's happening with these politicians, DOJ needs to step up and prosecute these people. I think it's impediment. I think it's interference. And we already have a record number of prosecutions for 18 U.S.C. 111, which is impediment, interference, and assault. We got to keep prosecuting these people and send a strong message. Enough's enough. Zero tolerance.
I never intended for my YouTube channel to turn out how it did. I used to talk about geopolitics, then I accidentally made a political video, and now we're here. But the point I'm trying to make is, one of the largest portions of my content are these politicians who are crossing that line or getting close to crossing the line of obstruction. This is such a common thing. This is why Tom Homan is saying we have a record of obstruction cases, to include politicians.
Very much protected by the First Amendment.
Darrell Hill at the ACLU of Arizona agreed, saying Senator Ortiz has a right to share information with her constituents.
This is just normal part of being a member of society, being a member of the public, and a normal expression of First Amendment rights and activities.
The U.S. Department of Homeland Security told me in a statement that Senator Ortiz is siding with criminals over American citizens, writing, quote, notifying the public about ICE law enforcement operations endangers law enforcement and weakens American national security.
And we have to be a little fair here. On the Homeland Security side, the reason why they're obviously very upset about this is because the last stat I saw, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing, apparently we are now up to a 1,000% increase as far as the attacks on Homeland Security officers during these operations. So this is why we're seeing a lot of pushback from Homeland Security. Now, they're not showing this data here, but oftentimes whenever Homeland Security criticizes one of these members of government, whether on the state level or federal level, they oftentimes throw these stats out to remind people there is a lot of violence towards these agents, which is why they have a problem with elected officials doing what they're doing.
Certainly looks like obstruction of justice. Both experts I talked to say people who post online about ICE sightings should know that's protected speech.
Whatever your politics, if the First Amendment stands for anything, it's for the idea that we should be able to talk openly in this country about issues that are of importance to us, up to and including criticizing government officials.
Okay, so I'm going to be honest with you, I am not a fan with how that news segment came out, because there's someone out there called LA Scanner. If you don't know who LA Scanner is, he is a young gentleman who decided to start posting the location and the areas of where Homeland Security was operating. He even talked about the hotel where they were staying at. You want to know what his consequences are? Again, he's also protected by free speech. He had to turn himself in and is facing prison time. It got so bad for LA Scanner, he had to come out and formally apologize and tell everyone, I will be turning myself in to the judge. That's how bad this gets when you start to cross the line. Again, we all love freedom of speech. That is amazing. But LA Scanner is a prime example of freedom of speech is great, but when you cross the line and start talking about Homeland Security, their specific locations, where they're staying at, where they're sleeping at, the personal information, that can be a big problem. That's where we get into the intent, and that's where people can go to prison. Now, I do want to be clear. I don't think this state senator went as far as LA Scanner. LA Scanner, you can go look into his story. It was pretty bad, quite shocking. I couldn't believe what I was seeing in real time, and neither could Homeland Security. Now, when it comes to the state senator, she straight up said, "I will not be intimidated. Furthermore, I will alert our community to avoid the area." So she is straight up saying this is why she's doing what she's doing. It's to alert people, and not only that, it's to alert people to avoid the area. Some might argue it's intent. Some might argue this is freedom of speech. That's going to be up to you guys and possibly a prosecution.